want me to play you kind of a creepy song?
Yeah!
I thought that might get your attention. This happened, and who knows where Bruno, Minnesota is? Wow, everybody knows where Bruno is. Cool. No, you don't? Okay, you know where Ascove is? Do you know where Ascove is? Well then, I guess you're not going to like this song, because it happened at Bruno, which is just past Ascove. But it happened in 1888. 1888 was 100, and let's see, 12, it's 128 years ago.
Do you know that my uncle's name is Fred?
No, I didn't. I didn't know that. Cool. Well, I bet him and I are Sadies. We might be twins. This happened to a man named Hiram Walsh. He was a real man. He came up to Bruno. He was a real man. He was a real man. He was a real man who came up here to work in the logging camps. And back in the mid-1800s, this was all pines. A lot of it was pines. It was forest, as far as the eye could see. You could walk for days in some places without coming to a clearing. It was old growth forest. Some of the pine trees were, see that post in the middle? They were that thick. Those were some of the medium to small size ones. The big ones would go up over 100 feet. 100 feet. This whole room is probably a little less than 100 feet. So think of a tree that's as big as from one wall to the other and maybe past. Just to help my voice. Anyway, Hiram Walsh came up and he met the Doyle brothers. The Doyle brothers called themselves the mayors of Bruno. There wasn't even a town called Bruno yet. It was just a few shacks. But one of those shacks was a bar. Yeah, they made their own liquor there. They served food to the lumberjacks. They also had a side business, which was robbing the lumberjacks. And since a lumberjack could be a big guy with an axe, they decided to make their job a little easier. They had the bartender, a man named Black Jack Dawson, a real man, put knockout drops in their drinks so that these guys would go clonk, and then they would go through all their stuff and take what they wanted. The pines, they say, claim a sweet day. There's a million ways to die. Crushed by a skid, slashed by a rake, or a bleeding in the eye. I ain't scared of the cold or the driving snow. I ain't scared to run away. I'm so I shiver like a bird when I catch the word about the Doyles and Black Jack Dawson. The three little drops. The most accurate answer. You were close. You guys were close with carving. They had. Do you know what a brand is? Big. Yes, you know what a brand is? Tell everybody. Iron. You make it out of iron. At the end of it, it has a little design. And every lumber camp had their own design. So let's say you were with Bob's Lumber Camp, and you wanted to have a leaf as your design. You made a brand that had a leaf at the bottom. Okay? And it would mostly be a stamp, but sometimes it would be, they heat it up and push it into the log so it made a black burned mark of that design on it, or you could stamp it in so it would be a mile long on the big rivers. They'd make rafts of logs that you could live on. You could play soccer. They had rafts so big they actually built little houses because somebody had to float down the river and get these things steered. They put steering oars on the back and they hold the steers and they get the logs around the bends. The houses, the guys lived in the houses and there was a little kitchen so that they could cook their own meals. They never had to go on land. Some of the guys even brought their instruments with them, fiddles and banjos. What's that? It wasn't an ocean. I guess the guys probably didn't get seasick. Maybe some of them did. I don't really know. It's an interesting question. I don't know for sure. They called those guys the river rats or the river hogs. Because their job was to make sure all the lumber got down to the market so that they could get paid. If the river rat didn't do their job, nobody got paid. So you would have worked a whole winter cutting down trees in a smelly old shack with a whole bunch of smelly old lumberjacks for nothing. Or about the riverman. Draft to make them flow. It's a down to find a tree behind a How does it make a sound? How does it
make a sound?
Well, hit the strings.
I know.
Okay.
I mean, like, how does it make a sound when it's like that? And why do they have holes?
What do you think sound is? Yeah, if I were to ask you, about vibration is what?
Sound waves?
Yeah, that's close. Can you hear, if you were in space, could you hear?
No, you couldn't.
Because there's no air.
Yeah,
There's no air.
It can't travel. It can't travel.
Correct. Sound is vibrations in air. So, the whole mechanism, the mechanics of making music is that something needs to vibrate and make some sort of vibration, and then it needs to make the air vibrate. Okay? So in this cavity, underneath this lid, there's a cavity, a hole. Stay where you are. I'll take this around. Touch the bottom of the mandolin. You feel that? Oh yeah. Put your hand up there. You feel that? Touch that. Oh, people made money. And people still make money these days logging, but they do it more safely. Now back in the old days, loggers in the logging camps, they didn't care about the branches or the leaves. What do you suppose they did with those things? Yes. 3, 2, 1. Okay, what do you think they did with those things? No, they didn't. What do you think they did with those branches and leaves and stuff?
I think I know what they did.
What about you? You know? They just cut them off and left them. That's exactly what they did. Let's pretend this whole school once was a forest, because it once was. They came in, they cut down all the good straight trees, the thick ones like that. They had special saws to do it with. They didn't always use axes. They had big saws. Pretend that you and I have a saw in between us. Well, I have one handle. Now you push, pull, push, pull, push. What do you think happened in 1894?
The forest fire, the fire.
That's it. The Great Hinkley Fire.
What about the? There was a hole. They went into a hole. There's this hole and they jumped into it.
Some people survived by jumping into a hole. Some people survived the Great Hinkley Fire by jumping into the Keller River. Some people survived by jumping into Skunk Lake. It wasn't the Great Hinkley Campfire. It was the Great Hinkley Fire. The flames went up in the air 3, 4, sometimes 5 miles high. Now, just to give you an idea of how much that is, you know where Ascove is?
Yeah.
That's about 3 miles that way. So if you take the road between here and Ascove and tilt it up in the air, that's how high the flames were. The flames were so high in the sky that the fire created its own weather. It was actually raining in places. Got 3 times better than you whistle to go. And 3 times Bessie answered no, no, no. And the railroad ties beneath his wheels began to burn. He let her go, rolling away, and up the line she turned. I will hold the brake, boys, hold them steady. Yeah, I won't let go till I'm darn good ready. Come on board, folks, and don't be slow. It don't need a ticket, but when you gotta go. Well, Bess couldn't watch it hit behind his hands. This is the hardest place I've ever had to stand. And the flames caught up, it was a terrible sight. But over 500 souls got off the train that night. I will hold the brake, boys, hold them steady, and I won't let it go till I'm ready. Do I need to give anybody the directions? No? Okay, let's do it. One, Sasha, Sasha. 1, 2, 3. Right, right, right. Left, left, left. Both knees. Right, right, left, left. Say, now choose a partner. Free dance. I'm a partner. Gently, or you'll have to sit right there. Let's look for another partner and freelance. Let's look for another partner. Sasha, Sasha, 1, 2, 3.